Hi guys, and welcome to this Model Engineers Workshop. Today in the workshop, we're going to be making the piston valve glands. Come on. Hi guys, I'm the chef. Today we're going further with the cylinders. This time around we're doing the piston valve glands. Now of course they are the little piece that goes into the rear cylinder cover with a packing to make the joint where the piston rod slides backwards and forwards through the rear cylinder cover steam tight. All right, I've got the bits on the bench. Come on, I'll talk you through it. Righto guys, here we go. Two little scrap bits of cast iron. You can see there's the original machine faces of the big block of cast iron I bought. Don't know what these are from, I can't remember. But anyway, they're scrap, they're in the scrap pile. So what have we got to do? Right, two items basically the same to go into that hole, and the one on the other cylinder just over there on the rear cylinder covers. And of course, between this piece and the inside of that piece, we then have a PTFE packing to make everything seam tight. Now, I've put a few scratches on this one. Can you see those? Yes, you can. Yeah, there you go. So what we've got to do, we've got to drill and ream a 10mm hole through the center, just there. Two 4mm holes here. We are then going to go to the lathe, and we're going to make a 10mm mandrel that will go through here with a nut and a bolt. Not a washer, sorry. So that we can hold this up against the jaws of the chuck. And then we're going to turn the 16mm boss that we need here that we'll check each one individually, so that we're making a left hand and a right hand again, of course. It needs to be a good fit. The drawing says 15.8, which gives you 0.2 of a millimeter slop in there. Of course, as we turn that down, we'll be going down the right depth, get this to the right thickness, of course. Face that all off. Two bolt holes that go through to match. Can you see those? Yes, you can. Just there and there. Of course, they're tapped M3. We need to drill through here 3.2. And then we need to make this look pretty. We need to turn it into a, so if it had sharp corners it'd be a diamond, but it doesn't. It has rounded points. Now I've no idea what that's called. Somebody put that in the comments. What's the mathematical name or scientific name for that kind of shape? Not a clue. But we're making two, which is good because we can mount these up in machine vise on the mill. 0 zeros on the corner, come across the right distance, go along. They're both the same. Both the same size. Use the same numbers twice. Drill and ream for 10. Drill 3.2. Drill 3.2. Take this one out. Put that one in. Drill and ream 10 mil. 3.2. 3.2. And then we move off to the lathe. Right. I'll get these set up in the mill and I'll bring you back at that. See you in a bit, guys. Righto, guys. So here we are. Two blocks in the mill vise, centered up on the 0, as you can see. I just did the first one off camera just to check everything, and everything seems to be looking all right and lining up. So this is how we did it. So I'll do the second one now. So we're going to center drill and then go through with I think it's a 5, a 7, a 9.5, and then we'll ream it 10 mil when we get that far. Then we go 11 each side, and we do the 3.2s, which are clearance for M3. This will be for studs that hold this part when it's finished, the piston valve gland, actually into the rear of the rear cylinder cover. Right, so all being well, everything has worked out on the first one, so I've no reason to believe it won't on the second. I've got in a slightly new camera position today, guys, so maybe you can see a little bit better. Hopefully this won't bounce about too much because it's on a magnetic camera support, which is actually on the end of the vise. Right, so let's get this done. So we're going to do the M10 at the 10 mil hole, which is reamed first, and then we'll go 11 this way and 11 that way, and we'll do the two bolt holes. Okay, here goes. Move the mill into low speed. Here we go. Again, just taking it carefully, slowly. Yeah, can you see down in there how the ring is just taking off the slightest little amount, just to ensure we have a circular hole. That sounds odd, but one that also has a nice finish on the inside. There we are, we're through. Right, let's get that out of there. Right, back into the high gear there. There we are. Here goes. Into our drill, 3.2. Now it's quite a deep hole for a 3mm drill, so I'm just going to peck at it, keep clearing the chips as we go. That's that one through. $11 the other way. There we go. And last hole. Almost there by the feel of it. There we go. Right, let's kill that. You can hear me a bit better probably. Right, there we are. So that's the start of these two piston valve glands. Right, clean up, move these to the centre, change cut, put a cutter in the mill, not a drill chuck. And we'll take a clean off cut and bring them down to thickness, which is 17mm, but I'll get it set up and I'll bring you back. All right, guys, see you in a bit. Righto, guys, so 2 bits, resetting the vise. I've cleaned up, no chips in the way. Got a 12.7 inch mil carbide cutter. It's the first one to hand, so it'll do. It's only a bit of facing off. You can see the little witness mark, so I've touched off already and put on a witness mark, put on a cut. Witness mark is that little silver thing there. So I'm going to go along the slightly different heights. So I'm just going to go a bit steady. This one's slightly thicker, not much, like 0.1 of a millimeter for some reason, I don't know. up and down to get a clean face over the whole thing. And then I'm going to take a measurement and we'll work out what we need to take off. We've got to get down to 17 mil thickness total. Right, here goes. It's going to get noisy, guys. Hang on. Time for a quick measure up. Of course, the beauty of doing it this way, or rather not the beauty, but what we've got to remember when we get to the lathe, because we're going to be turning a small mandrel to mount these on so we can turn the circular boss around that 10 mil hole, is because these holes and this surface have been drilled on this machine, they should be perpendicular to each other. So of course this is now going to be up against the back face of the mandrel, just to ensure that we get the best lining up that we can. Just going to get a measurement here, guys. We need to get down to 17. Let's have a quick look. We are at 17.75885. I'm going to call that 17.9. Right, so now we know that. Give me a couple of minutes and I'll bring you back when I hit 17 dead. We just got to take off 0.9 of a mil. Here you go. I'll be back in a tick. Righto, guys. There we are. Cleaned off. 17 mil. Right. Take these out. Quick deburr on the corners. And off to the lathe we go. Right. See you in a bit. Righto, guys. In the lathe now. Just a chunk of 24 mil steel. No idea what grade it is. Don't really matter. It's only making a mandrel. So we're going to face off. Go down about 16 mil. Don't forget, we have 17 mil of cast iron. So we really want that bolt and washer to hold it down tight. So we don't want any, you could get away with 16.8 mil, I suppose, but 16 is close enough. And we get that down to 10, which is going to be a nice fit. Doesn't want to be tight. We don't want to damage that reamed hole. Doesn't want to be too loose because we want it all to be concentric, of course. So, right, nothing too much spectacular about this. So I'm just going to face off and then we're going to start turning down. Here goes. Let's touch off. There we go. Put on the cup. Here it goes. All being well,
all being well, that should be about 16 millimeters going by the dials. So let's have a quick look. Yep, super as. Right, you've seen me doing that. I'll get this down to 10 mil, and I'll bring you back at that, guys. Righto, guys, down to 10.15. Time to start checking. So let's just give this a try. No, she wants to go, but not quite. So let's just take off 0.1 and we'll see how we go. All right, here goes. Right, let's try that now. Oh, man. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that'll do it. Oh, yes, that's nice. And we're below the surface here. I hope you can see that. Yes, you can. So that when we bolt this on, it will clamp nice and tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the cutter back down, get into that bottom corner, and then pull out so we know that the shoulder is nice and square. Here goes. There we go, that was nice. Now, also, as to helping this little piece of cast iron bolt down, we're also going to put in, as if it was a thread relief. This is, of course, just by eye. Don't need to worry too much about depth or anything, just enough to take out the rounded bit that insert would have left. All right, so here goes. There we go, guys, that's all that takes. Again, with the freshly machined face against the old face, up against that now. There we go. Oh yeah, that's going to be nice. Right, so I'm going to drill M5, 5 mil now, tap it M6, put the hardware in, and when I get that done, I'll bring you back. You don't need to see me drilling and tapping a hole. That's a good fit. I tell you what, let's just check the other one. They should do the same. And indeed they are. All right, good. Right. I'll bring you back when we're ready to start the next operation after I've got it all bolted on. All right, guys. See you in a bit. Right, guys, there we are. All bolted on, nice and tight. Now, of course, these blocks are 31 and a bit long. So we're going to, first of all, we're going to get them down to a maximum diameter, which is kind of from here to here. Can you see that? Let me just reset the lathe. There we go. So from here to here is 31. We need, these are 22 apart. We need 4 mil from the center of that and 4 mil from the center of that. So that's 22 plus 8, 30. So we're going to knock these corners off first, get that down to its right dimension of 30. And then we can start concentrating on getting this centerpiece down to 16, which will fit in that hole there. Okay. So once we get that sorted out, of course we go 16 in diameter and we need to leave a flange of 3 mil at the back. So we're going 16 by 14 deep. I will check that once we get closer to time. Right, so let's get close to this and we can then start knocking some of these corners off. So we're going to be going fairly steadily, because as it's interrupted cut. There we go. And we'll get these corners knocked off. All right, here goes. Oh, there's touch off. Excuse me. We'll take it lightly. Right, now we should have some silver witness marks coming up, so that all the corners are clipping off nicely, indeed. Right, I'll get this down to 30 and I'll bring you back. Righto guys, there we are, that's down to its final maximum length, 30. So now we're going to start doing the 16 that fits the rear cylinder cover, and we need to leave 5. So that means we're only going down 12. 492. So I'm just going to touch off, get us so I can set my zeros. So I just lightly touch off. There we are. Now, of course, on this machine, that's my 0. Back there now. 12 millimeters is 4 full turns of the top slide dial and 92 divisions. Right, so let me just get another touch off here and then we can start going down 4 and 92. There it goes. There's my touch off. Put on a feed. Cut, rather. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to fall short. I'm going to drop short. I'm going to go to 4 turns and 80, and then in the final cut we'll bring that shoulder to fitness. Right. Let's just do a numbnut check. Make sure we're looking right. We should be having about 12 mil, and we are. Beautiful. Right. Let's keep going. Yep, starting to look good. Righto, guys, you get the drift. I'll bring you back when we're almost at 16 and we can check for fit. All right, see you in a bit. Righto, guys, so down to 16.1 at the moment, so we're not quite there. This tries to go, not quite. Right, so I'm just going to take off less than 0.1, so I can really sneak up on this. Take my time, get a nice finish. It's actually pretty good at the moment as it is, so here goes. Right, let's check again. That was probably about, I don't know, 0.06 of a millimeter. Oh, there we go. Yes, we're on. We're in. Look at that. Lovely. Super duper. That's what we wanted. Right, now, I'll get this one up to the same stage. And then it's going to get exciting. Well, different. Okay. See you in a bit, guys. Righto, guys. There we go. Second one done for the right hand rear cylinder cover. Nice. Good fit in there. That's what we want. Now, that is 16mm. That is 16mm. This is not the second part. That's the third that I made because I had to make. That was the second. Can you spot the difference? I made this 15, didn't I? Yep, so you put it into there and it rattles. So that's going in the scrap bin at the moment. And we now have two the right size, one for left, one for right. Now, the next operation we have to do on these is before we take the mandrel out of the lathe is we need to, because of the shape of these things, like I say, if you imagine a four-pointed diamond, so going from there to there to there to there to there, but with a 4mm radius on the end of here and a 20mm radius on these two and 4 at this end. We need to create that shape, whatever that's called, I don't know. But of course, we've got no center anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the mandrel and cut the stub off that we just created with the hole in it for the bolt. Before I do that, I'm going to cut it down, turn it down to 20 so we can slot it back in here and use it as a guide for the filing for the two pieces that we're making now, the valve glands, the piston valve glands. I'm then also going to make an 8mm one with a 3.2 stub on it to work as the ends as well. So of course we'll be able to pop these in very carefully, draw around them, scribe a line, put it in the mill, whop the four corners off each one, and then just file out the corners round, the bits round. Now, then of course, but before we do that, or after, I'm not quite sure at the moment, we need to put a 120-degree cone just in these ends. We need to face these ends off just very lightly, just to make sure everything's nice and square. And then mount these again in the lathe and turn this 120-degree cone inside that. But of course, how are we going to hold that? Well, you could do it in the forge job, but we have a different option. So if I move those out of the way, I'll bring that in. This is the left-hand one. As you can see, I've mounted it the wrong way around on this rear cover with a couple of temporary 3mm screws. So of course we can hold this in the chuck. But just to make sure we get everything concentric, remember this? That's the split ring we made to hold on to these when we were turning them. Right, so we can put that back in the 3-door chuck, remembering there's the center pop. That goes into the center line of jaw number 1, whichever jaw that may be for you guys. I know which one it is for me. This into the lathe 3 jaw, this into there, like that. Nice click-on fit. Tighten it up. That will then be held securely and concentric as possible. And we can then use a tiny little boring tool. We'll just face that off very lightly first with the ordinary tooling, and then with a small boring tool, we'll set the top slide over and we'll just go zip, 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 zip until we get a cone and leaving probably about half a mil both sides. So we're going to turn a cone that's 15 diameter and as deep as it goes, just backwards and forwards with the boring tool. Right. I'm going to go back to the lathe, make up these parts off this mandrel and make up the second little button that we need. I'll show you those when I get that far, when they're made. That's just plain straightforward turning. There's nothing for you to see on that. Once they're done, they can be put aside. We'll get these all sorted out and then we'll start looking at doing the back of these, getting these flanges to shape, and then these two bits, this one and this one, will be done. Right, I'll see you in a bit, guys. Righto, guys, here we go. Just made those two little buttons. I'll show you those when we get to doing that in the next, using them in the next operation. So, behind this cylinder cover, we've got the split ring, so it's holding on the register that will go into the cylinder bore. I've used 2 temporary little screws to hold the valve gland onto, but of course it's the wrong way around, so we can get to this end. As I was tightening up, I had a piece of what will be eventually the piston rod itself going through the hole
in both, so they're lined up as best we can. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to take a little clean-up cut just to make sure that everything is all kind of squared and parallel or whatever to each other. And then I'm going to reset the tool post so it's at the right angle for the boring bar, drop the boring bar in, and then we'll just put that little 620 degree included angle cut into this end. Right, so let's do this. Just want to clean up. Nothing serious, that will do us. That's just cleaned up that end face just enough. So I've just got to turn the tool post a little bit just to make sure it's all in line for the boring bar. Let me just check on that. There we go. Right. Sorry. There we are. Now the boring bar I've had to flip round end for end in the tool holder, so I've managed to move the body and everything here of the tool holder away from the chuck, so we're not going to clash. Let me wind that in there. A little bit further, I think, will do us. And of course, we're going to start taking cuts, right, and then we're actually moving the tool post and the tool that way as we make the two cuts as they come together. On what would be the inside of cone. Right. Right. So we don't want a sharp edge. We're just going to go till we're almost at the edge. It doesn't need to be a sharp edge. It doesn't want to cut anything. And let's get this done. Here goes. There's touch off. Just light cuts. There's not a great deal holding this little setup together. Right, let's just have a look at that, see how we're looking. Oh, we can go a little bit further. Maybe another couple of cuts. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that'll do us. All this is for is just so that it kind of holds the packing and squeezes it towards the middle of the hole, really. The angles on the bottom of in here and here will, of course, take any packing and kind of compress it down due to the angles and squeeze it onto the piston rod. All right, guys, I'll get this out of the lathe, get the other one done, and I'll see you back at the bench in a bit. All right, see you in a bit, guys. Righto, guys, so here we are. I've made these two little buttons from the, well, this of course is the one we use to mount the gland in the lathe, and I just turned the tail end down here to 20mm diameter, so 10mm radius, and as you can see, that's a nice fit in there. Not that that's that critical, of course, it's not. What we're going to be using it for is to mark out the radius on this itself. So of course what I'm going to do with my scriber is get right in that corner, a good old scratch on there, turn it around, a good old scratch on there too, get into the corners. Now got to get that out, I'll just push that back out now. There we go. And yes, there you can see the scratches. Now, of course, this is a little smaller one. Same idea. That goes into this hole. And of course, we need a 4mm radius on the end of these. So that gives you 8mm diameter, 4mm radius. Again, a good old strong scratch mark in that one. Pull that out, swap ends, and put one on the other end as well. This will give us something to machine to, and when we get to that point, we'll just tidy up with a file. So can we see those as well? We can. We're starting to see the shape of these things, I suppose. Like I don't really know what the shape is called, but I'm going to call it a lozenge. I think it's probably about the best I can come up with at the moment. I've already done the left-hand one. Let me pull that out. And I've very roughly, oh, you can see I missed it on that one, scratched in the lines. So we're going to have a little bit of filing to do here, and just to tidy up, come on, focus, and I tidy up at the ends here just to smooth those out. Now, of course, we know that I really hate filing, and that's a lot of cast iron. I'm not going to hacksaw it off. So I've come up with a solution for in the mill, and just over there, and I'll see you there in a second. I need that button and this piece of steel, which is going to eventually form one, if not both. I think it's probably long enough for both of the piston rods. All right, guys, see you in a bit. Righto, guys, so here's the setup in the vise. Dummy rod goes through, that is pressed down onto the jaws. I've got here next to it, 7mm drill. This is that little button, which is then 8mm diameter, so that means from this jaw surface to the top of that button is 15. We know from the center line of this rod to where we need to be, that's curved scratch there at the tip of my finger, is 10. This is a 10mm rod, half of 10 is 5. So we have 15mm. So theoretically, that scratch line there is parallel. So what we can do now, got the vise just tightened up. I've got my little soft wire in there, of course, just to give some more grip. It's nice and solid. I'm going to take away the drill and take out the little button, because they'll only don't want to get them banked up. Put them out of sight. And as you can see, that line looks parallel to me. So what we're going to do, power up the machine, of course, touch off, and we're just going to machine down till we get to our line. Now, of course, once we get to that line, we'll be able to set the dial on the knee of the mill, and then really, that's the only dimension we need. All we have to do is then loosen the vise, tip this back this way, do the other side, spin it round, do the other two, and then do the other piece as well. Now, it's only 2 pieces, so there's no point really doing a fancy pants set, any more fancy pants setup than this. It doesn't need it. I'm just making sure everything's tight. Just going to give that a little bit more squeeze. That's even better. So the gentlest of touch offs, and we'll just go down slowly. What have we got to take off? About 5mm cast iron. Of course, I'm going to be moving the table this way, so that as the cutter goes around, it's going to chuck the shit away from me. So let's get this just to the other side. I'll tell you what, no. Let's do the touch off together, and then I can do it the way I want to do it. Okay, so let's get this machine going. It's going to get noisy, as it always does, guys. Hang on, here we go. Almost there, guys, just going slowly. You can just see something fly there. Let's have a look, see. Yep, we've got touch off. All right. So now we can start putting on a very light cut. There's not a great deal holding this still. And we can just backwards and forwards. Yep, definitely very close. Just the lightest of cuts now. I'm literally down to 0.1 of a millimeter. There we go. Right, as you can see there, yeah, lovely. We're down to the line. I'm just going to reset the dial on the knee, so to a point. So now I'm going to loosen this whole thing up, reset the other angle now, and machine it, and we'll take a look, see what these first two bits look like. All right, I'll get you back when I've done that. All right, see you in a bit, guys. Righto, guys, there we go. First two cuts done. Doesn't take more than about 20 seconds, really. So I'm quite happy with that, really. You can see I'm just onto the curves here, and I've got about a millimeter to file off there, so I'm going to flip it around, work to the curves, because we know they're right. You can see that one is slightly shy of the curve. So again, keeping an eye on the markings. This one is also a little bit shy. So this system works, just got to keep an eye on it, that's all. So I've got a few burrs to take off, but I'll do that when I do the filing anyway. Right, I'll get this one done, and what's this one? This is the left hand and the right hand. And I'll bring you back and we'll have a look at what's going on next. We're almost done with these guys, won't take long now. Righto guys, there we go. A few minutes on the milling machine. Got the majority of all this cast iron off. These buttons, I'll call them, that we've turned up, they're not hardened, but they will just act as filing guides. So you can see just how little I've got to knock off on that one. Yeah, that's a pretty good fit, of course. And where's the little one? There it is. And we just got to knock off a couple of corners. I guess there, look how little we've got to file off on that one. Almost nothing. And then these are done. Interesting little bits, but oh, that one's even closer. Right, let me get these filed off and make them look pretty. Oh, they don't look bad at all at the moment, actually. And you don't need to see me filing. God, it's boring as batshit is watching filing. There we go. And I'll bring you back. All right, guys, see you in a bit. Righto, guys, so there we go. All the filing's done there. Nice, all rounded off. Could use a little bit more polishing, maybe. I don't know, we'll see. It's the mountain time. I'm just happy to have them made. Another couple of bits done, which is always good. Right. Now, why has that decided to jam, I wonder? A bit of dust or something. Oh, there we go. Right, so these will get held on with a little bit of studding and a 3mm nylock. That's a good fit, that one. I'm just waiting on that to arrive. Should be here sometime soon, but yeah, bit of studding. Right, well, actually, I'm getting little bolts. Whip the heads off. A2 class A2 70 stainless, and put a nylock on them, and then they'll look pretty much like studs and nuts anyway. Right, okay. Let's bring this video to a close. Righto, guys. There we go. I seem to say this a lot. 2 more bits down. The list is getting shorter, slowly but surely. Okay, so I'm quite happy with those. They look nice. They're going to look nice when they get the little bits of studding and a bit of the nuts on to hold them in place. And when we get that close to actually having piston rods, we'll talk about packings and bits and pieces like that. Right, so I'll finish this video like I normally do by saying, if you can find it in your heart and your soul, give me a like and a subscribe. It's the likes that really count. They put this video in front of like-minded people like yourselves and I. The subscribes are good for me personally because it gives me the motivation to get back out into the workshop and keep making these videos. If you're a watcher and you've got this far, come on guys, give me a like, give me a subscribe. You know you want to. You've watched this video long enough. All right guys, that's it for today. This is the chef saying, see you later.